Google's bizarre.
Yeah, it's just
I
so
wonder if
weird.
I can close Hangouts and it won't knock me off. I don't think it will. All right, we're good.
Yeah, you can close it. Yeah, now it's live.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. And by everyone, I mean hopefully people are in here, maybe. But
You can tell.
so I know you chimed into the conversation today on Facebook,
I
where it
did.
was the Larry Bird and LeBron James thing. I don't know if you chimed into that one. I know that somebody talked about Doncic not being
Oh,
athletic, and
right. They talked about him not being, I don't know, an elite athlete or freakishly athletic or something like that. And I basically said, I never claimed that he was. You know what I mean? He's not.
oh yeah,
Um,
no, but neither was Larry Bird.
right. I mean, neither are a lot of guys. I think James Harden is a better athlete than he probably gets credit for, but he's not a plus athlete. He's a below the rim player for the most part. So you don't need to be a plus athlete to be successful.
Yeah. So one of the things I saw on Facebook today, and this was kind of interesting. People were talking about, would you rather have Larry Bird with more athleticism or LeBron James with a better jump shot?
I mean, LeBron James with a better jumper,
Really?
obviously.
So again, like I think it's a complex decision. I think you got to go with LeBron with the jump shot, honestly, at the end of the day. But
I
like
don't think
Larry Bird's
LeBron's
really underrated in the way he played, and I think that he was a better defender than what he was given credit for because he just tried. He was a high effort guy. He could shoot the ball, but he was so crafty. He was crafty, in the days of like a lot of big centers being shot blockers and stuff, and so
right.
people play tougher defense, and he was just this like 6'8", 6'9", like 235-pound skinny guy.
Right. I think LeBron has a decent jumper. So, like, to me, if we're giving LeBron, basically what you're saying is the question was almost worded like, if you give Larry Bird LeBron's athleticism or give LeBron Larry Bird's shooting, well, I'm going to take LeBron with Larry Bird's shooting because look at what he does already and he's a decent shooter. Larry Bird was a high end shooter. So, LeBron as
Larry
a high
Bird
end
was,
shooter would be unstoppable to me.
yeah. Also, LeBron would make him a better free throw shooter. So, but Larry, it's hard to find a better competitor in league history than Larry Bird. So, I mean, Larry Bird has an edge that basically no one else does. You also have to take into account the fact that Larry Bird's career might have been lengthened too if he had more athleticism. I mean, he only played in the league 12 years, so, or
Right.
like
I mean,
13 years. So
I think
LeBron
people
has
thought,
the health issue.
right. I think people thought LeBron was going to have to adjust his game and become more of a post player as he became less athletic, which may be the case, but that hasn't happened yet. And you look how far into the league he is. I don't know if he'll ever really have to make that adjustment at this point.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron does have a jumper too. I want to go back to that, but
Right. I
I
mean, his
mean,
jumpers,
it's
it's not
not
great,
what
but
Larry
he's a,
Bird
he's a
was.
decent shooter.
Like LeBron, it doesn't seem like LeBron's great at creating separation on so like a James Harden level.
Right. No, I mean, that's not really his game, but I mean, I even think as a 3 point shooter now, I mean, he's pretty good. It's more of a off the bounce. He likes to step into it and be in rhythm. He's not a catch and shoot or off a screen, but he's a guy who always has the ball in his hands. So as far as 3 point shooter, I mean, LeBron can shoot, high 30s from three. So
Yeah,
you have
I
to
mean,
honor it at this point.
yeah. So I mean, he's definitely something. He's one of the only players that it's hard to find a weakness in his game. Maybe shot blocking a little bit.
Yeah, I think LeBron has I mean, again, he has the ball so much that sometimes it might seem like he doesn't have the same motor he used to have on defense, but that just comes with the territory of exerting so much energy on every play.
Yeah, he's played every game this year. That's
Right.
insane. How does that happen? How
Right.
do you
He
do
could
that in
probably
today's modern NBA?
I think he could do it every year if he
But
wanted to.
what about your Nuggets? What's going on with them? I know they won,
They won, yeah, they beat Minnesota and then they beat the Clippers yesterday. So
so
they're
they're
back
probably
to being
in. I mean, I know
tied.
that the Timberwolves beat the Lakers.
Yep.
Does that mean anything at all, or?
Yeah, I mean basically they have one more game. The Nuggets have one more game in between the last game of the year, which is what's it called? Which is on Wednesday against Minnesota. But it's basically going to be a play-in game. Even if Minnesota were to win their next game and the Nuggets lost and Minnesota went a whole game up, then when they play on Wednesday, if the Nuggets win, they'd be tied again. The Nuggets would obviously have the tiebreaker. So Wednesday's basically a play-in game at this point for the two of them. I mean, assuming Oklahoma City or someone else doesn't fall.
So OKC is playing the Heat. Heat are a good team.
Right, and they just beat Houston last night, so they may be tired.
OKC, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like they don't have the most star power I've ever seen in my life.
yeah. I mean,
Like
just coming off
in
that
terms of
Houston
just like
game, it's
in terms of
emotional. So
yeah, in terms of just like I mean Paul George and Russell Westbrook and you know, but I don't know. How do you feel about that team? Sorry, I'm like distracted. This has been
you're
a
good.
long day.
I don't really
Uh,
like OKC.
I don't.
But I'm not a Westbrook fan or a Paul George fan. I think it's more that I'm
I
not a
like
Paul
Paul
George
George.
fan.
Yeah.
So I think me not liking Paul George, or when I say I don't like him, I mean the way that he's talked about, or more was talked about coming into this year, as like the level of peace that they added. I never saw him like that, so I was never as well. I mean, they were talking about, hey, OKC is probably the clear favorite to be the number 2 seed. I never
No,
looked at him like that. So I mean,
no.
preseason, like could they win a title? This, I don't think Paul George is that level of a player. So, and it's very hard to play with Westbrook. It's an adjustment. So I don't see them as any, say they get the 5, whatever it is, they get Houston in round 2. Oh, they could beat Houston. They could beat Houston. I don't see any way they could beat Houston or Golden State in a 7-game series.
So Paul George to me is somebody that's kind of interesting. I mean, he's not like an elite scorer. He's never been an elite scorer. He looked like he was going to become a really good rebounder, but he's not rebounding much. He doesn't shoot at the highest percentage. Last year, he shot at a higher percentage than he normally does.
Yeah, last
He's a
year was
pretty
an
good
anomaly.
defender. He doesn't pass a heck of a lot. I mean, he passes some. He could pass more.
He gets a lot of
I mean, it's
steals. He
like
gets a
he's
lot of
like a honestly,
deflections.
and I think this is going to be kind of a mean way to say it. He's like a knockoff Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, I don't think that's mean. I think he is a poor man's Kawhi Leonard. I think he's a better
Yeah,
shooter in
like he's
terms
not
of
as good
his.
of a scorer as Kawhi. He's not as good as a defender as Kawhi, but they have similar
Right. I mean,
skill
they're
sets. Yeah,
long.
they have similar
They're
skill sets.
Yeah. I mean, they're long. They're athletic. Guard multiple positions. Get a lot of steals. But
It's just yeah, Kawhi's a better
Kawhi
rebounder and
Kawhi's a
defender
better
and shooter.
passer. I think Paul George is a better 3-point shooter than Leonard. He has more of that kind of
No, Leonard
range.
is a beast. Are you really? Leonard
I mean,
Leonard was nearly 50, 40, 90, wasn't he?
but to me, okay, and maybe percentage wise, but to me, Leonard gets, he takes easy open threes. It's almost like
But
LeBron.
but
LeBron
that
shoots
how does that make him? That just makes him smarter.
smarter, sure. I don't think Paul George is a smart player. He jacks up a lot of bad shots. But in terms of just, if
Yes.
I need somebody to catch the ball, get open for a 3 and knock it down, I would take Paul George over Leonard, because Leonard doesn't really, it's not his game even, really. I don't even know how Leonard scores 22 a game, because when you
Really?
watch him,
He
like,
creates his own shot a lot.
like
He
it's not
has
that
a post game. He is
it's not that I don't think he's good. It's just like he'll score 22 and you don't really notice it because he goes about it so deliberately.
he's also he's efficient. I mean,
It's
he's
the
not a
same thing
great
with
passer.
LeBron.
I think Paul George is a better passer than Kawhi. I would say.
I mean, the Spurs are. It's so hard to judge somebody when they're on the Spurs because the team dynamic is just to swing the ball, and they pass it so well that like he's accustomed to making that extra
Kawhi
pass.
Kawhi does the isolations though. He can do this. His
He's
ball handling
he's
got a little bit better this past season. It seemed like.
yeah. I mean, look, if to me the comparison was always like when they were both going to be changing teams was Paul George and Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is a much better player than
Oh, I
Paul
think Jimmy
George.
Butler's a far more complete player. Yeah, I like him much
Jimmy,
more.
I love Jimmy. I'm a big Jimmy Butler guy. So I think with his improved offensive game, he's always been a really good defender. I mean, Paul George 6'9", 6'10", Jimmy Butler's not. But what he doesn't have in that extra couple inches, he makes up for with toughness and hustle plays that I've always thought Paul George was kind of not lazy, but I always kind of questioned how much did he really want it, especially even in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you also got Lance Stevenson on
Right.
this team, so that's something.
Right.
But and Hibbert, oh man, I used to love Stephen A. Smith's rants back in the day. I haven't seen him do one on a player in a while,
Yeah,
but
that whole show is different.
yeah. So once because Skip would say things that would force Stephen A. to have to rant,
Right, which was
because
the idea. Right.
yeah, it was insane.
And yeah, he
It's
tries
just
to get into it with Kellerman now, but it's not the same way because Kellerman's not a complete moron. Like, I mean, that was Skip's role, but I think he means like at least like 25% of it.
yeah. So Skip, it's almost as if it's on purpose at this
It's
point.
got to be.
Like
It's an
it has to be. He says the dumbest stuff. I just remember. Do you remember when he made just Stephen A. just burst out laughing about Tiago Splitter's screens, and now he's the best
yeah,
screener in the league?
yeah, and but see, that's picking a player and saying something no one would. It doesn't even make any sense. Like,
Like
why
that's
would you
fine.
even?
Yeah, like it's good to be good at screens, but
It's just like there's no reason to even talk about that. And then he
yeah,
said
he's
that,
like,
that he said Dak Prescott was better than Aaron Rodgers. If you needed one
did he
player to
really?
get you a TD fourth quarter down down 6, I would take Dak.
He was such a Tim Tebow homer too. It was unreal.
It's just the dumbest thing ever.
Do you remember his Tim Tebow stuff? Oh my goodness!
And then when Tebow went to the Pats, of course, then he's like, "Oh, Tebow to the Pats. He could take over for Brady when they need to." Like, oh my god!
I like how this is NBA news and we're starting to talk about football.
Well, I mean,
Skip Bayless is just again, he he loves Tebow and he doesn't like LeBron, but he loves I don't know.
Right, he just decides people that he hates and loves, and then that's it. Doesn't matter what they do.
So in Baltimore, I don't know if you remember because we're both from the area. But back when the Ravens were winning the Super Bowl and stuff, and Skip was all over Flacco all season, just trash him and stuff, and everybody in the Ravens forum was like, "We hate Skip Bayless. We're unified against him." That has really been the first I had heard of Skip Bayless because I actually surprisingly hadn't heard of him much before then. I had heard the name. Well, but man, when you go check out some of his stuff, some of his NBA opinions are just unfounded. Yeah, he gets on the hype train of guys way too quickly. It's pretty fun.
And then he wants to be all the way in, so that God forbid one of them actually works out. He can say,
he's never
pull the clips.
It's just Do you remember his all NBA? He had his all first round bust team or something, or all first round. They're all number 1 overall pick thing where he did that with I forget who he did that with, but it was against somebody, and he put an entire roster of centers. This is the one was like a small forward or something, and then the rest of his guys were just centers playing 2 through 5. It's
put Greg Oden on that list.
Yeah, Greg. I don't know if you could put. Yeah, it's hard to put Greg Oden on a list of bad players.
Right, it's not his fault because he's not actually bad.
Anthony Bennett was a bad basketball player.
Right, and it's crazy.
LaRue Martin was a bad basketball player. But
Kwame Brown, I don't even want to talk about Kwame Brown.
Oh man, Michael Olowokandi was actually probably worse than Kwame.
Yeah, in terms of skills,
mainly just because of who came after him.
Yeah, and Kwame didn't play though. I mean, if Kwame had played in college, he may have developed some game.
No, he just didn't try. I mean, Stephen A. was right about him.
When you get paid,
he never tried to develop his game. He never attempted.
When you get paid, a lot of guys they check out. So, I mean, he robbed them for a lot of money, but a lot of guys do that. It's going to happen in every draft.
The Lakers?
Yeah. It's going to happen in every draft. You rob people of a lot of money before you even step on the court. They get that.
Do you know? Are you familiar with Donald Butler in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
I used to love Donald Butler. I like inside linebackers in general. I don't know why I like them. But then he did 7 years, $49 million with the Chargers, and then he stopped trying. And I was like, even you, Donald Butler, what else do we expect from Albert Hainsworth? But Donald Butler, I thought was a good dude.
Especially, it's always different with guys that are out of shape and everything. They had to do everything they could to get themselves in shape enough to get the money.
Yeah, take naps in the middle of the play.
Well, Hainsworth just clean someone.
That was just gross. Yeah,
I know.
So what was I going to say? Yeah. So, anyways, some of the Stephen A. stuff though that was the funniest was definitely the Kwame stuff. But I mean, I still remember that time where he and Skip were debating who's a bigger draw, Tim Tebow or Kobe Bryant.
Yes, I know. Who's more box office?
Stephen A. couldn't even handle it, and he walked off the set.
Yeah, which is fake.
He was right. He was right.
But warranted.
It's unwarranted, but
no. I think it was warranted. I mean, yeah. I'm saying it's fake. They knew he was going to walk off, which they But Skip's an idiot.
Skip's opinion was unwarranted. There's no basis in reality for Skip's opinion. He lost that poll too.
Right, dude.
Put up, which was hilarious.
Right, and this was Kobe Bryant. Even this was the end of Kobe's career basically, and no one gives a damn about Tim Tebow.
No, never.
And I mean, when he was at Florida, sure, but once you come to the NFL,
comebacks were fun. That was about it.
When you come to the NFL and you're bad, people stop caring. You know what I mean? People stop caring about all those guys. People don't care about RG3 anymore. You know what I mean? He's just not good. And you could say he's injured. It doesn't matter. People are over it.
So yeah, RG3 was just the way he played was, again, it's like a Derrick Rose thing. It was bound to happen. It sucks. He's a talented guy, but the way he plays, he puts himself in that position. So I was going to say, so Tim Tebow, I think, has the same problem that Brady Quinn did. Do you remember Brady Quinn?
Yeah, Notre Dame.
They're just too strong. They're just built, and you can't really play quarterback and throw accurately when you're like that.
I think also, Tebow never was a passer. So when you see those guys it's not just the motion. He just was never a passer.
I think he Tebow had a stronger arm. He just wasn't the most accurate guy.
Right, but if you watch him, even he wasn't a passer. He was a thrower. You know what I mean? They aim the ball because there's no fluidity to the way that they
He
throw
was a
it. Whereas,
football player. If he were in the 1950s or
oh
60s,
yeah, it'd
he
be
would be a
great.
starting quarterback. Like he's
Yeah,
what they wanted almost.
right. You just throw short little quick
Yeah, like
hitters, and
he's like a
then
high school quarterback almost.
yes, and that's the way they play. That's the way a lot of college teams run with the spread.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a glorified high school.
and it actually works because
You can't stop it. The field's too wide, and the way that the clock goes, it's just it's set up that way. They want the scoring.
yeah. We should just call this football talk.
Right. Well, I mean, if you
I
look
love
at
football, man. I love it just as much as I love basketball. So
if you
I'm glad
look
that we're
at
going to be doing that too. We have to start writing some articles for that too. I
right,
want to start doing some draft stuff. That could be future of the channel. We could
if
talk
you
about
look
future of the channel.
if you look yeah, that's what I was saying. If you look at what I put for that title, what I was going to say was when I was going to be on here by myself was that there's going to be other stuff coming for people that aren't really as big into basketball, but that we're going to have a broader range of topics.
I think
So
I want to start doing more draft stuff too, for NBA as well.
yeah, I mean NBA
Just because
draft 2 months.
NBA draft this year is going to be popping. I
You got
mean,
2.5 months, I guess, or so.
the Heat don't have a first round pick. I'm actually kind of disappointed. I really liked I really like when they have like a pick because they don't have one that often. Like in my
Yeah,
lifetime, they've had a few, and the
yeah,
last like one of note was Beasley, and I
yep,
remember that year too. And I was excited that we got Beasley. I thought he was going to be good.
yep.
I was like, I hope we get the second pick because I don't want Derrick Rose. His
Yeah, I don't
stats
want
are not
Rose.
nearly as much as Michael Beasley's in college.
Yeah,
Yeah, those were the days. Honestly, though, every Heat fan thinks that Beasley's the biggest bust. I don't know. I mean,
I
he
mean
sure he's a bust,
he's a bust, but he's
but if
not
the
like a
Heat draft
bust
Derrick Rose,
bust.
do they get LeBron? Do they get Bosh?
No, I don't even think the Derrick Rose thing with Wade would have worked anyway. So
Maybe not.
two guys
Sure.
that can't shoot.
Yeah,
I mean, not that Wade can't shoot, but you know what I mean. He's a limited 18 foot and in kind of guy is his game. So and Rose is very limited. I mean, Rose
yeah.
is just
Well, yeah, Rose and Wade is sort of almost repetitive, but
right. You don't want that
that's why
too.
Chalmers worked out so well with Wade.
But
But
he was just a spot. He was more of a spot up
let's
guy.
say they drafted Kevin Love. Let's say do you then get Bosh and LeBron and stuff, or do
But
you try and
maybe you
re-sign Kevin Love?
maybe you just get LeBron and don't get Bosh. Who
Maybe
knows?
that's
Because Kevin Love's contract would have been low. He would have still been on that rookie deal probably 4 years in. So
that's
right
true.
around So I don't know. But I mean Wade Bosh
But
LeBron.
he had to get rid of Beasley's rookie deal in order to get those guys, and then
Yeah.
basically sign some guys on the side as well.
Right. And they have Battier on that team.
Battier wasn't until the second. Battier was until
Right.
the actual championship season.
Right.
Yeah.
But when that team won, they got the veterans, which is you need to have. You have to have, they
Yeah.
needed
So Battier was
Battier.
the main addition that year, and then they got
Ray
Norris
Allen.
Cole. Norris Cole was the Battier year, and then the year after they got Ray Allen.
Yeah,
and,
the Ray Allen signing was
Ray
huge.
Allen and Birdman were the main two.
The Ray Allen signing was huge. Now he did travel on that little corner three, but it's whatever.
Did he? I mean, everyone travels all the time in the NBA nowadays.
And you can't call it. So anybody that says they should call it, you would have to call that all the
You
time.
ever see Bojan Bogdanovic do the triple double dribble thing or whatever it was? I mean, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Wait, Sacramento?
No, Bojan Bogdanovic.
Bojan,
yeah. It was a couple years back. I think he was still on the Nets, maybe, or maybe he was on the Pacers. No, not on the Pacers. He might have been on the Wizards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
Nets. Probably Nets.
You ever see Klay Thompson double dribble too?
Yes.
To get open three.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. And they get away with it because the refs are just don't care.
And there's
That's
travels.
fine. Yeah,
there's travels where guys get a steal. Like I saw one. I think it was Corey Brewer 3 years ago, and he gets the steal at half court, and he never dribbled. Like he didn't not once. It's like seven steps.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, what do you mean? It's just he's gonna dunk it, so why would I call it travel? Just
there's that
once.
There's that one clip of Russell Westbrook grabbing the ball and then taking 4 steps before dribbling, and then he's as surprised that they called a travel. Like I don't blame him for being surprised because they don't call travels in the NBA.
Right, I know, but he literally got the ball inbounded to him and just started walking up the court. Like I think he just forgot.
Yeah. Oh, there was
he had the ball.
Man, we're just this is awesome. I love Shaq in a fool moments because those are the funniest. I still remember the one where Isaiah Thomas just forgot to grab the ball that was passed to him, and it went out of bounds. Isaiah Thomas says ADD. It's I have ADD, and that is something I would probably do.
It's crazy. He's just not even thinking or thinking too much. However you want to look at it.
So the Norris Cole thing to this day with Whiteside is still one of the most embarrassing moments in Heat history. That's what Norris Cole will forever be known for at this point.
Right, and I actually like
he's joined the ranks of Michael Ruffin. for being
I
known for
liked.
something really dumb at late in the game.
Well, it's not
Remember
like
when
a Bill
Ruffin threw the ball
Buckner,
up in the
but
air?
huh?
Remember when Ruffin threw the ball up in the air?
Oh my god, dude, that's a long time ago.
I know, but that's like the
That's
one
a
thing he's remembered
long
for.
time ago. That's
Like
how it
there's certain
goes. I
stuff
mean,
that people are just not, it's like Bill Buckner from the 1980.
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not as bad as that, but which he'll never live down. But like
Yeah.
Chris Webber with the timeout at Michigan.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that was a bad
He's
one.
more known for the timeout than the fact that he had, like a 14-year NBA career, probably like a 7 time All-Star, 20 and 10. But
I know
when you call
NBA
when
player.
you call it when you call a timeout when you don't have one to cost your team the game, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll never live that down.
If your name is synonymous with an action that is not good, then you probably are known for the wrong thing. Like,
Yeah,
if you pull a Chris Webber and you call a timeout when you don't have one, yeah,
I mean, and they've talked to him about it so many times, and like
it's like Dan back at the end zone Orlovsky from the NFL. Oh my
right.
god,
But
I had him in fantasy that week. He actually put up some decent fantasy points that season, but he also did run out of the back of the end zone without being forced out, which was, you can't come
right,
back from that. That's forever known as Dan back in the end zone Orlovsky.
yeah.
Geez, that brings me back. There's been a lot of moments like that with guys over the years,
Yep.
but
Not as much anymore though.
Yeah. So
I mean,
Otto
there's
Porter
dumb
is one of those
things.
guys that used to be laughed at a lot, but he's become a pretty formidable player.
Oh, I remember when they drafted Otto Porter, and everybody kind of ridden him off within 2 years
He was a project
because he couldn't
developed.
shoot, and he's like a tweener. But now, I mean, he's 40+% from three.
Oh, he's a knockdown shooter. He's a good defender. He's long.
Right. He's not worth the money, but no one is outside of a few guys.
Well, like everyone on the Warriors is pretty much worth their contract. Maybe not
Right.
Iguodala, but everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what's the going rate, and then that's what guys get, and whether you think they're worth that money or not, that's what you have to pay them if you want them.
I think it just depends, though, because I think maybe, like, for example, Bradley Beal does score enough to warrant a big contract.
Yeah. I mean, I think Beal, whatever he gets, he'll be
Like
overpaid, but not grossly overpaid.
I think Nicholas Batum is an example of somebody he's an asset to your team. I don't know, about 5 years on or 20 something million.
If he got that contract 3 years ago, then okay. But I mean, and it would have been 120. It may have been 90. But 5 years, 93 years ago when he was still in his prime. But now he's hurt all the time. And I like Batum.
He's not a star, and he's getting paid star money.
Right. I mean,
he's a solid player.
That's why they're screwed, and that's why they're going to lose Kemba. So,
are they? Is he gone in the offseason?
I think they're gonna move him. I mean, there's just no reason not to.
I mean,
he's not going to resign. He's not going to resign. So
I wouldn't resign with Charlotte. Charlotte is like secretly the biggest joke in the NBA.
Right. So don't resign, and they got to. I mean, and what's his name has probably changed his market. I mean, as much as he can, Dwight Howard, because as much as people don't like Dwight and they're still not going to like him, he's played really well this year on a bad team, and so he's going to have more suitors than I think he would have.
The team's not the worst.
I mean, probably for the last month and a half, 2 months, I mean, he's got to be close to something like 18 and 16.
Yeah, so the problem I have with Dwight is that he never really seemed to attempt to develop an offensive game.
Not at all.
And I thought that was kind of an issue for me. I really didn't like that he was fine with being a defensive guy. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that. But, I think he could have become an elite offensive center. And I think he has become sort of the perfect example nowadays of what centers have become in the NBA. There's a lot of guys like him, like Rudy Gobert is similar in terms of just the stats that centers put up. DeAndre Jordan, for example, is not. I mean, Dwight was better than DeAndre at offense,
oh, yeah.
But I mean, you don't see scoring centers thriving in the same way.
No, not unless they're a stretch, and they'll just call those guys. They'll call them a four.
And I think that ended with Dwight. I think Dwight was the first elite center that wasn't. It was considered the best center in the league. Like Ben Wallace was a nice defender. He was never the best center in the league.
Right, Dwight was the best.
Yeah, but Dikembe Mutombo was always a great center, much better defender than Shaq was.
Andrew Bynum was good for like 2.5 years.
Yeah, when he can stay healthy. Yeah. But so now you look at centers nowadays, and who's making the first team All NBA? Like
Yeah.
maybe Boogie every now and then, but like you see guys like Rudy Gobert on there. You see like DeAndre Jordan on there.
Yeah, if you even want to call Cousins a center. I mean, like, is
Yeah.
Anthony Davis a center? I mean,
Anthony Davis is not a center. I would say Cousins is a center
but
for
he
sure.
was a center before Cousins got there.
Sorta. He played the five a little bit. He's
Right, that's
always
what I'm
more of a
saying.
power
So
forward. Yeah.
it's just like LaMarcus Aldridge, he's a 4, but he's the Spurs 5. So is he a center? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, so let me take a look at first team all. I want to look at all league teams because
I mean, DeAndre Jordan, Gobert, Drummond.
but Drummond is one of those guys that hasn't really. I mean, it's not like he hasn't tried. It seems like he has tried to develop offensive. See, he's actually gotten better this year.
He's much improved as far as an overall player in terms
Well,
of just
it's
passing the
honestly
ball
it's
and being more comfortable in the court.
Yeah, it's also free throw shooting is a huge thing.
I mean, yeah, he went from about 38 to 60.
Yeah, they can actually keep him on the court now.
Oh, what's his name will
at
be
the end
on
of the
there.
games.
I mean, he may not make a All NBA team because only 3 at a position, but Capella will be up there.
Capella's a very, very efficient guy. Capella doesn't shoot the free throws very well though, but he doesn't really
way up
need
though.
to.
He's over 60 or right at 60, which is
So what do you
enough
think
for
about
them to not
Blake
foul him.
and Andre Drummond long term? Do you
Bad
think that could work?
mix. Bad mix. I don't even think he'll be there.
Who, Blake or Drummond?
Yeah, Blake will be gone. I
How
think
do you
Van
feel
Gundy's
about
going to be gone
Drummond
too.
in general? Do you think Drummond's the kind of guy?
I like Drummond, but you can't build around. I mean, you almost can't build around a big. Period. But you can't build around a big.
You can
that
build
can't
around
space the
Anthony
floor.
Davis, but that's because there's also an argument to be made that Anthony Davis doesn't necessarily always even play like a big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anthony Davis is a freak. Like
he can score off the dribble. I mean, if you
he's
can score
not
off
a
the
normal
dribble, you can build around. Like
right, they can't build around Drummond. They know that.
So nowadays, it's a ball handler heavy league. You can't build around somebody that's not.
They went and got Blake because they could never get anyone at the caliber of Blake Griffin to sign a long-term deal in Detroit. So when you get the opportunity to make the trade, you just have to do it, even if you know you overpaid and you know he's going to get hurt and you know it's not going to work. But at least you can say you tried. So Van Gundy did it, and now maybe I think he's gone. So I think there'll be a lot of changes.
Yeah, I mean
Reggie Jackson. You know.
You wait, is Stan Van Gundy already gone?
No, but he's at least going to lose. He's running the whole team. You know, he's player operations president, whatever you call it. He's in that Doc Rivers, Thibodeau. You know, he's making all the decisions.
To me, he's always the guy that we fired halfway through our championship season.
Right, which is not really fair, but
it's not fair. But he didn't have the team doing very well at the time.
Right. I mean, who knows? Maybe
the firing was justified. I love Stan Van Gundy. The firing was justified from the Heat.
I think he's definitely going to lose that title. I don't know if they'll fire him as the coach, but he's not going to be the GM anymore because they whiff on the draft picks. The Blake Griffin trade was terrible. If you actually look at what they did,
draft picks.
Yeah, I like Kennard. I think he'll be okay. NBA scorer, but it was too high of a pick.
I mean, he's sort of crafty. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Stanley Johnson's a bust for sure. Unlike Winslow, who you actually didn't you compare him to Stanley Johnson, right? Winslow's actually shown offensive improvement. Like Winslow actually has a jumper now. Winslow can pass the ball. Like Winslow's a net plus when he's in the game by like over 4.
I think Stanley Johnson needs a. I think Stanley Johnson needs a change of scenery too. It's a bad.
He just hasn't like in terms of efficiency and percentage. Like his raw numbers went up this year, but his efficiency didn't go anywhere. I mean, he's shown zero noticeable improvement. Zero.
I don't think he gets the ball.
Even Hazonia looks better over in Orlando right now.
Yeah, Hazonia has some talent.
Hazonia can score the ball. I mean, he's interesting.
According to Hazonia, he's the best player in the league. So,
did he say that really?
Yeah, he's like, if I have the ball, I don't think anyone can stop me. I think I'm the best player in the league.
I mean, I watched the Heat get wrecked by him, so I guess that's something.
Hazonia will have his moments. I mean,
I'd rather have him than Stanley Johnson.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I
think Hazonia's got a solid amount of talent. He's a plus athlete. He's probably 6'8" ish.
At least, yeah. He's like Paul. He's a little bit of a Paul George,
and he can shoot it. He can shoot it. Look, if you can shoot it, you can develop the other things. Or if you're a great athlete, you can learn to shoot. But a guy with Stanley Johnson, he's such an in between that I don't know.
So he doesn't shoot. He's like not. He's not athletic enough to be like a smaller player, but he's also not big enough to be. Like Winslow can come in. Winslow plays the point. Winslow's just an average athlete. Like he's decently athletic. He's got good handles. He's an excellent defender. He's a plus rebounder. He's a plus passer, and he's starting to get better. He developed the jumper, and he's starting to get better at finishing at the rim. Like Winslow's having his best year by far in terms of efficiency. and it's showing. And the Heat are probably, I think next year is the year he starts actually averaging these numbers on a larger scale.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't, he's gone. So
Yeah, but he's really and he's maintained this new burst. So I
I mean,
pretty much have faith that he'll be
Heat
able
have
to
a very
continue
interesting
it.
roster. They have a roster that can get them to exactly where they are now, and they have a roster that can't get them any better than they are now without making real changes.
So I think they have to keep. So Jay Rich, Olynyk, and Winslow are the ones that they probably need to keep right now.
I mean, they'd love to
Everyone
get rid
else
of
should be on the
Whiteside.
block.
They'd love to get rid of Whiteside, but it's going to be almost
Everyone,
impossible
everyone needs
without
to be on the
packaging
block.
something up. So, I mean, if someone shows interest in Whiteside, would they package a younger player with him? Sure, but it depends who it is.
So I'm looking at the roster right now, and I think there's a few specific guys that I think could be long term. Olynyk, obviously, because Olynyk's the only one that's the signing's been worth it. Olynyk's put up really good numbers.
It was a good sign.
Yeah, and I said at the time, I made a video. It has almost 2,000 views. And Bam, obviously, Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson. Wayne Ellington, I think, should be in the long term plans. And then,
old.
Huh?
Wayne Ellington, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, but he's a shooter. Like, he's younger than.
I'm fine to keep
Redick.
him as his role. Just know what he is. He's 30.
Well, that's exactly
so.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He's actually probably the most underrated player on the Heat. He doesn't
need the ball, and he doesn't need a lot of minutes, so you can kind of use him when you need him. But they'd love to move Dragic and Whiteside. It's very difficult. If you're going to move one of them, it's going to be easier to move Whiteside than Dragic. So
I don't know. Who's going to take Whiteside? At least Dragic is like a guy that everyone on the team likes.
Yeah, I think Whiteside has too much in people's minds. Too much upside that they could move him if they wanted to. Again, if contract wise somebody wants to make a move, I'm not going to pick it.
I mean, he only has 2 years left, so it's not like the worst thing you could do.
I'm not going to pick the Cavs because everybody picks the Cavs. So let's say, I don't know.
He actually has a player option in his final year, so he only has 1 full year left.
Right. He'll probably take it.
Yeah, it's $27 million. Why would you not take that player?
It's just too much to not take. You can get your new deal the next year if he even gets a new deal. I mean, he will, but it may not be long term. He may get a 1 year, 15 kind of thing.
If even.
But somebody will take Whiteside. You just may have to make it worth their while.
We might have to throw a draft pick for that.
It may be that you take Whiteside. They take Whiteside from you. You get nothing in return, player wise, and you take a salary back from them to make it balance out somewhat. But at least you clear the cap.
Like Whiteside is somebody that he's better than what we have on the roster. Like Bam Adebayo is a nice player, but nowhere near the offensive skill that Whiteside has. Whiteside is an offensive juggernaut. When Whiteside's in there, you have to account for him at all times. And the Heat don't have any other players like that. Like Whiteside's the only mismatch like type of guy.
Right. I mean, the Heat need a star on the perimeter. They know that. So
yeah. But anyways,
it's not easy to get.
Yeah, I think we're gonna cut it off early because my internet's bugging out right now.
I got you.
But yeah. So we'll be bringing football to the network soon. It's gonna be pretty cool. Eventually, baseball. I own the domain to baseball as well. I also own Daily Sports Analysis. So we're gonna turn it into a network eventually.
Yeah. Huh? That's what I was saying. You can just do it as one when you get to that point. It'll be easier. And
football's going to open before the NFL draft. It's got to.
Right. You really got
I'm going to start working on some articles.
Probably a week to
get
it up, and then if we have a bunch of stuff, at least 4 or 5 things ready to go when it launches, then you can take a week or more to get it going, and then you have enough stuff. It's fine.
Yeah. So I didn't find the majority of the writers for basketball until after the first week.
Right. So if we have 4 or 5 football things that can be uploaded when it goes, that's
So I'm fine with not if we have stuff ready to go on weekends, I'll put stuff up on weekends. But in the beginning, I was never really committed to making sure all 7 days were uploads. It was just the weekdays were the most important to me. And so we've done that so far on basketball. And we even we had a nice day yesterday, and we've had a really nice day today. But yeah, I think we just have to get a few articles ready to go. When I started basketball, I think I had 3 articles ready to go, like 3 articles. So, but that'll increase if Mark and you are going to write stuff as well, because Mark's been pretty reliable lately. He's been really good. He's been a great writer.
Yeah,
and you and him, especially you, because you do the podcast with me too. But you guys have really been like the stars for right now. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to put up stuff
Yeah, the draft. I mean, the draft will be huge because people
Yeah,
tune into the draft that aren't even really into football. It's
yeah,
like, who's my team gonna get? You know what I mean? They may not
yeah.
follow football,
No,
but
I agree.
dude, who's Denver gonna take? Like, that's a big deal for them.
I
So I
mean,
think
I'm one
that's
of those
important.
people. I'll watch like rounds 4 through 7 and just sit there and all. But, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off, and I hope everyone's having a great lazy Sunday. And see you guys later.
You got to.